Motormouth Jenkins here, welcoming you to our brand new YouTube channel. Hope that you'll come back and see every segment each and every week, and I will share preventative maintenance tips and regularly scheduled maintenance tips for your car. So whether you know a little bit about your car or absolutely nothing, this is the channel just for you, where I share over 35 years of experience as a qualified and licensed service technician with truck and coach, light truck and passenger vehicles. Come back and visit us and tell your friends, and we'll see you each and every week right here in the Car Connection Workshop on YouTube. Okay, we're going to use some brake parts cleaner because this is safe. It's a product that I know, again, they don't sponsor the program, but it's a product that I use a lot of for a lot of things. It doesn't leave any residue, and it's chlorine free, and I can use that to clean this intake out. And I've already cleaned up the turbo and got the oil out of there, but this doesn't do any harm to any sensors at all whatsoever. So you got to get that oil residue out as much as you can, and that'll help things out a little bit, clean it up. And it's also going to give you an opportunity to be able to monitor this rubber. If I put it back in clean and then I see that it's got oil residue on it again, then I know the turbo seal is beginning to leak fairly good. And that's when you got to make some decisions.
Can you spray it again?
Yeah, of course. So we're going to make sure that we clean up that oil residue so we can monitor that turbo and the turbo seal, how bad it is leaking. But the signs are already there. If we can help it, there is a product that I can research and see if it's safe for diesel oil, and we can get it and we can add it to the motor oil, and it may rejuvenate the seal. So I will check in on that and just make sure that it is friendly for diesel. I believe it is, but I just want to double check. Always double check and make sure, don't assume, especially with today's technology. So we got that nice and clean. We're going to be putting that back on in a few minutes here. The filter's ready to go back in, and we'll be back and we'll show you the finished product, but it's nice and clean. I got all the residue off, so now we can keep an eye on in we go, we hope. The eagle has landed. Yes, that's good. That's a good sign. Okay, so now, before I do anything else, I like to take the covers off. And what I do is, to help myself a little bit, because the hoses can be a bit of a bear, I take a little bit of this product here, just a little bit. And I'll put some on that fitting, and it will help it go on there. Same with this one. Take that off, pull these back, put a little bit on there, and that way, you know what, it goes together so much quicker. You're not fighting the hoses. Watch how easy that goes on there. Line it up, give it a slide, line it up, and it slips right on there. So then you can wiggle your hose clamps into position. And we'll do that. We'll get our nut driver, which we got right here. You can't miss that with the red handle. And I think we're going to retire that and get a new one. Ta-da! I used to be able to pull a rabbit out of my pajamas, but I can't anymore. I think the pocket's broken. So we're going to get these back on here. And again, you don't need to go crazy on tightening them up. Guys usually tighten them up a lot. Too much where the hose is squeezing out. So you don't need to do that much. There is a trick I can show you. I'll show you sometime on how you know if a hose clamp is tight enough or too tight, using a test light hooked up to your battery. I'll share that tip with you sometime. And so that's it, just snug it down, don't go crazy. And then we bring the other one over and wiggle that into place. You know, diesels, I can't tell you enough how important it is to maintain. You don't wait till something goes wrong with a diesel, you maintain the daylights out of it. That means fluids, filters, changing the oil on time. Very important. Not overextending your oil changes. That's really bad, is to overextend your oil changes. You don't want to do that with a diesel. Change the oil on time. And I can tell you this, when with the big trucks, we would perform what's called an SOS test. That would be almost like a urine sample. At midstream, draining the oil out, we would have several little vials, and we would take samples of oil. Those would get sealed off, packaged with all the rig information, and shipped off to Caterpillar or Cummins for lab tests. And what that would tell us and tell the drivers and the owners of the trucks how much engine wear is taking place. So by finding the metals in the motor oil, they're able to determine when the next engine rebuild needs to be scheduled. They don't wait till the engine blows up. They monitor it, and then by the number of parts per million of metals, tells them the wear and tear at the lab on the main bearings and the crankshaft bearings, the main bearings, and the journals. So that's how intricate diesels are. We did the SOS test, was scheduled on the trucks that came in from different companies and also privately owned rigs as well. That's how important monitoring your diesel is you don't wait till it blows up. Then it's too late. All right, we're now I'm gonna approach the air filter boxes and see if I can get them out of here. They are a little bit tricky, so I'm gonna head into that. There's two 10mm reverse torques, and I believe there's one at the back here, and then we should be able to slide them out, and we'll see how we do in a couple of minutes. So stay with us. Okay, well, we've got our first side cover off that houses the air filter. And just an example, I'm just going to show you a quick example here of what happens when you get rammy. Somebody's already been here. There's the clue. There's what I call an indicator. We got rammy and we broke the ear off and we tried to glue it. But why is that not going down all the way? That's probably why it broke. Let's see what happened to the air filter. Give me a minute to uncover, and then I'll be able to tell you the rest of the story, why the air box on this side, the passenger side of the engine, has an ear tab broken off, and the clue, somebody's trying to glue it. So we're going to see that in a minute as to why that is. That's why I say take your time, don't get rammy. When you get rammy, guys, gals, if you're doing your own work, that's when you break stuff. And especially with plastic, if you're working outside, and I often, look at this, it's plugged solid. That filter's plugged solid. And have a look through here. All looks well in there, doesn't it? But that's the engine side. I need to see the suction side. Outside air, inside air. This filter's been plugged for quite a while, and that will damage your turbo oil seal.
What's that plastic there?
That got sucked in from somewhere. That got sucked in from somewhere. But look at that. I'm going to shake it out here on the sidewalk so you can see. Look at that, is horrendous. Look inside the folds. This filter's been plugged for a long time. This, I'll tell you right now, folks, on a diesel, this is doom. This is the death gargle of a diesel engine. right here. Plugged air filter. Overheats the cylinders, and it creates, on a diesel engine, will wear out a cylinder and the piston and the rings like a drop of a hat because the cylinders get so hot. The engine needs to breathe clean air in order to keep the cylinders cool. Try breathing through that one. Let's hold that up to the light, John. See if you can see any light through there.
No.
Not much, if any. So that's a problem right there that we're going to take care of today. Wow. So it's a good thing, as I said, you own a diesel, you decide to buy a diesel, you had better sell yourself on maintenance, because this animal right here will eat you alive money-wise in a very short period of time. So we may be able to save that turbo seal. I do have a couple of tips and tricks that I'll do my research and just make sure that the product that I know could do the job is compatible with diesel oil. That's all I need to know. We get a couple of clean air filters in so this diesel engine can actually breathe oxygen, clean air. You know, if any of you out there are NASCAR watchers, a little piece of plastic like what I just took off that air filter goes on the grill of a NASCAR. Guess what happens? It starts to boil over really, really quick. And they got to get that airflow. Something as big as this filter box goes on the grill on a NASCAR at 200 and something miles an hour. It's like throwing a blanket over the front end of that engine. It goes into super overheat. Your diesel's exactly the same. It needs a massive amount of oxygen. And how do I know? We have two air filters, one on either side of the engine. Why is that? It needs a lot of airflow, clean air, for you not to burn the cylinders out. And I can tell you, I've changed a lot of diesel engines, 7.3 liter diesels, where the air filters got plugged, burned 2 cylinders out completely on that engine. You're talking some serious money just because the air filters were plugged. So owning a diesel is an education before you buy it. You don't just look at or listen to what the salesperson's saying. You need to understand the fuel. You need to understand air. You need to understand all the fluids that keep that engine running well. You need to understand what happens to the diesel fuel in the winter months if you live where the temperatures go deeply into the minuses. You have to basically learn what truckers already know. That's what you need to know. Sit and have a coffee with a trucker before you have a diesel in your driveway. That's what I always like to suggest. You want to know whether you should do it or not? Don't listen to the salesman. Go to the truck stop and talk to a trucker and buy him a cup of coffee. You'll be educated in no time, and then you'll know the ins and outs of owning a diesel. Otherwise, it will turn into the biggest money pit you've ever seen and a very big disappointment. We'll be back with more. We're going to take the other side of the engine apart next and see how that filter looks. So stay with us for more of Car Connection. All right, we've got the driver's side air filter housing out, which was a treat, let me tell you, to get it out of there. Again, when I say don't get rammy, patience is going to pay off. Well, we think these filters are, how old, John? 2 years? 3 years? Okay, get ready for this one. That's got a bit of a restrictor plate already built right into it, but you can already see this is just absolutely packed. Let me pull this out because this is just part of the filter anyway. Look at this filter. Just plugged solid. Every fold plugged solid. That's what suffocates a diesel engine and overheats the cylinders, overheats the turbo. These have been in here a long time. So we're going to say hasta la vista. That's what it should look like on this side. Engine intake. This is the intake air. That's the engine side. So again, owning a diesel is, the diesel engine will give you a wonderful education on maintenance if you don't have one before you own it. I don't mean to be funny, but it's true. It's absolutely true. You don't just get one because, you know, I know people rushed in to buy the Volkswagen TDI's. Great engine if you maintain it and keep up the maintenance, and you get like 900 kilometers to the tank. But if you're not willing to maintain it, that 900 kilometers per tank is going to come back out of your pocket, the savings. So this is what kills a diesel engine very, very quickly. All right, let's redress those. Man, that's 2 for 2, man. All right, we're just going to give you a quick bird's eye view. I said I'd be nice to John. This is what they should look like. This is the intake side, so suction side from outside air coming in to the engine on this side. That's what they should look like all the time, all the time. Inside, outside air, engine side air. You got to do the maintenance. And welcome back. We've got all the air breathers and filters in. We've got our cross flow hose and all our sensors completely plugged in. Filters in, locked down. Now we need to bleed the air out of the fuel filter, and here's how we do it. I put a hose on the center bleeding valve, and you just open it. You're going to thread that open. You can just thread it open and then push your hose onto the fitting, and then just aim your hose into a container. We're going to cycle the key, not turn the engine on, crank the engine over. We're just going to cycle the key so all the dash lights come up. The fuel pump's going to run. We're going to wait a couple of seconds, turn the key back to the off position, cycle it again forward into the key on engine off position is what it's called, KOEO, key on engine off. Cycle it back to the off position, and then again to KOEO, which is key on engine off. And by that time I should see most of the air out, it should be gone out of here, and then we're ready to fire the engine up. So we'll be back in just a moment. We'll bleed the air out and have the engine running. So don't go away. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're going to cycle the key one more time. I like to do it 3 times, but if I see that all the air is out, keep an eye on the fuel as it comes through, and you'll get a good idea. This is how you bleed the diesel system so that you don't end up with an airlock and then you got to bleed everything. It just gets crazy. So one more time, so let's cycle the key. Cameraman John, you're our Skippy. Skippy, cycle the key. And here we go. Ready, set, here it comes. Look at that. Okay, key off, and then wait, and then cycle it again, John. Okay. Just make sure that this doesn't cycle back. Rolling. Okay. Okay, hang on a second. Ready? Okay, cycle the key. Beautiful. Key off. Key off. Off. Hurry. We spilled some diesel. It comes out fast, man.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, never leave the key. Never leave the key.
Before I had it on longer.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Well, it's going to stink. Nothing we can do. We spilled some pretty good diesel here.
Is it going to catch on fire?
No, it won't. It won't. John walks away from the freaking key. Can you believe it?
You told me to.
Skippy, stay with the key. Okay, we should be okay. All right, we're gonna go to the run position now, and we should be fine. Let me just try and mop up some more of John's mess here.
What do you mean? It was your mess.
All right. It'll evaporate in about 20 years. Should be all right.
So we're good?
I think we're good. Let's go to a run position. So key on, engine running. Let's make it happen. We're ready to run test and check for leaks. We have no leaks down here. Always check, make sure you got no leaks. No leaks around the water. The water switch. Make sure that you have no leaks around the base of the bleeder cap and your hoses. I don't see anything. So we're in good shape. We'll tighten down the center housing and we're good. We're all locked down. Everything is sounding good. Purring like a kitten. So after all is said and done, we now have the engine getting oxygen. We've cleaned out the oil residue from the turbo, and we got a nice clean filter in there that's going to give us 100% fuel pressure and volume. So we should definitely see a difference in performance, for sure. And the reason I can say for sure is we've now given oxygen ease of flow and not restricted flow to both sides of the intake and the plenum, and we've got a clean fuel filter we know that's not restricted as well. We should definitely see improved performance. So from here, where do we go? Well, we treat the fuel, definitely heading into the winter, and put a little additive in with each tank full, and that'll help prevent water in the fuel and phase separation. Where the fuel and the paraffins separate, the diesel becomes cloudy and it gets thick, almost like half-set Jell-O pudding, but not the flavor that you want, that's for sure. So that's prevention, and that is owning a diesel, that's maintenance. So again, I can't say enough to educate yourself before you purchase a diesel, no matter what model that diesel engine's in. They pretty much need the same preventative maintenance. You don't wait till something happens, you stay on it. And again, if you really want to get educated, buy a trucker a coffee and sit down and ask them, how do you take care of a diesel engine? You'll really get educated. So till next time, from the Car Connection Workshop, where we do everything exactly the same, only different every time, put the coffee on and keep it under 100, because we're coming to your house. Well, thank you for stopping by the Car Connection Workshop right here on YouTube. Don't forget to come back and join us for another segment. So like, share, tag, and follow, and ding that bell so that you don't miss a single edition of Car Connection. So till next time, keep it under 100 and put the coffee on, because we're coming to your house.